I want to ask you something. Have you ever thought about somebody you loved? Maybe a grandparent, maybe somebody who grew up far away, maybe somebody who passed away before they ever heard about Jesus? And asked yourself, is God going to be fair to these people? That is the most honest question a person could ask. And I'm not going to dodge it. We're going to open the Bible and see what it says about this, because God is not afraid of this question. So here's the first thing I want you to see. God did not leave anybody without a witness or a clue. Not the person in the most remote village, not the person who lived 1,000 years ago, not the person who's never owned a Bible, not the person who's never been through the doors of a church. Every single person who's ever lived has had a clue. Now, what was that clue? Let's look at Romans 1:20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So did you catch that? The invisible things of God, his power, his existence, the fact that he is there are clearly seen. Now that word manifest, that's a big word, but it has a very simple meaning. It means a complete unveiling. Think about a manifold on an engine. You know what a manifold is. On a V8 engine, there are 8 portholes, one for each cylinder, every single one open, nothing blocked, everything flowing. That is what manifest means. God opened every porthole of knowledge to everybody who has ever lived. Not one thing blocked, not one closed. Think about that for a second. Every time somebody stepped outside and they looked up at the sky and they saw the sun come up in the same place. It came up yesterday and it came up the day before that. That was God saying, I'm here. Every time somebody looked at a flower and thought, how did that come out of the ground? That was God saying, that's me. Every time somebody looks at a newborn baby and you see the little fingers and the little toes and you think, who made this? Somebody made this. That's God saying, I'm here. Psalm 19:1 says this, the heavens declare the glory of God. The heaven, not a whisper. It doesn't hint at it. It declares it. It doesn't whisper it. Every star in that sky is God signing his name. Now here's what that means for the person who's never heard. God gave them a clue, the biggest clue in the world. The whole creation was pointing at him. And that's what Paul says in Romans 1:20. It leaves them without excuse. That is a hard thing to say, but God said it. And I'm going to trust that he meant it. So let me give you a second thing. God didn't just give us clues on the outside of us. He put some on the inside of us too. And I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. You felt it. It's that feeling you get when you've done something wrong, even before anybody finds out, even if nobody was watching. Something inside you said, hey, that was wrong. You know what that is? That's God. Look at what Romans 2:14 and 15 says. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves, which shew the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness. You see that? Written in their hearts. God wrote something inside every human being that has ever lived. And that is a sense of right and wrong. And you don't need the Bible to know that hurting somebody is wrong. You don't need a preacher to tell you that lying is wrong. You don't need to go to church to know that taking something that don't belong to you is wrong. That knowledge, that feeling is God's fingerprint. That fingerprint is on every single person. And he put it in there for a purpose, so that even the person who never heard his name still heard his voice. That voice was inside them the whole time. Now, what did they do with it? Did they listen to it? Did they follow it? Or did they push it down and ignore it? That is what God is going to judge. It's not what they didn't have access to. It's going to be about what they did with what he already gave them. In Romans 2:16 says God will judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ. The secrets, not just the actions, what was in their heart. Now, here's something that I want you to understand clearly. Nobody is going to go to hell for not hearing the name of Jesus. Let me say that again. Nobody is going to hell for failing to hear the gospel. They go to hell for sin, for murder, lying, stealing, lust, hatred, the things that their conscience already told them that was wrong. Sin is not failing to hear the gospel. Sin is the transgression of the law, and the law is written on their hearts already. That is what they will answer for. And that judgment, and I'm going to say it clearly, that judgment belongs to God. Not you, not me. It belongs to him. And he is going to get it right. And here's one more thing that the word shows us about how God will judge. It will not be the same for everybody. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 11, it will be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for Capernaum. More tolerable. That means there are degrees. The person who had more light and rejected it faces greater judgment. The person who had less light is judged by what they had. God is not going to hold somebody to a standard they never had access to. He is perfectly just, proportionally just. And that's exactly what you'd expect from a judge of all the earth and one who does everything right. Now, here's the third thing, and this one is going to change how you see your own life. Nobody was born in the wrong place at the wrong time. Acts 17:26-27 says this, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. Did you see that? God determined the times before appointed. He determined the bounds of their habitation. That means where you're born. God planned it. When you were born, God planned it. What country you were born in, God planned it. What century you lived in, God planned that. Nobody fell through the cracks. Nobody was accidentally placed in a location where God forgot about them. He put every person exactly where they were so they would have every opportunity to seek him and find him. And look at the end of that verse. Though he be not far from every one of us, not just the people in church, not just the people with Bibles, every one of us. God has never been out of our reach. He's always been close. Even the person who's never heard his name. Then I want you to read this. Look at Genesis 18:25. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Abraham asked that question. And the answer is yes, he will do right every time, for every person, in every situation, in every century, in every nation. You can trust him with that. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to resolve it. You just have to trust that the judge of all the earth will do right, because he always has and he always will. And now I'm going to say something that's a little uncomfortable. We've been talking about the person who's never heard, but that's not you. You heard right now watching this video. You know the name of Jesus. You know about the great white throne. You know about the book of life. You know about the blood that can get your name written in it. And that is something important. Luke 12:48. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required. You have been given a lot, which means a lot is required of you. Now here's the part that you really need to get. The reason some people never hear is because some of us never went. John 14:6. Jesus said, I am the only way to the Father. Mark 16:15. Jesus said, go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He gave us the answer. He told us to go give it to everybody else. So if you're sitting and talking about the people who've never heard, the question is, you need to ask yourself this. What am I doing about the people in my world who have never heard yet? Because somebody in your neighborhood, somebody in your family, somebody you pass by every day is the person this question is about. And you are the missionary God already sent. So we're going to bring it in. God left everybody a clue. God put something inside everybody. God placed everybody exactly where they need to be. He's not going to get it wrong. He's not going to be unfair. He is the judge of all the earth, and he is going to do right. You can trust him with the people you're worried about. Hand them to him. He loves them more than you do. But what you cannot do is use their situation as a reason to do nothing, because you heard, and now you are responsible for what you do with what you've heard. So do something with it. Open your mouth. Use what God gave you and go. If this is speaking to you today, drop a comment. Tell me what you think about this. I read every comment. Like I said, I read them all, and I try to reply to all of them. And if you've been sitting on something, a gift, a calling, a conversation you've been avoiding, let today be the day, because somebody is waiting on the other side of your obedience. So part 5 is coming, and it's the last video in the series. And this is the most personal one yet. It is, what about the believer who has a past? What about the person who saw their name on Paul's list? Did I disqualify myself? That is part 5. Subscribe so you don't miss it. God bless y'all. I love you. And I'll see you in part 5.